Hello and welcome to the Allett Lawn. My name's Austin Jarrett. Today I want to introduce you to the Allett UC Groomer cartridge, available to go into the Stirling 43 and Stirling 51. So we are all aware of the quick change cartridge, which we have on the Stirling, which allows us to remove the incredible cylinder mowing, reel mowing capabilities of this machine. And now with this new Groomer cartridge, I can pop this in and increase the ability, capabilities and flexibility of the amazing Stirling system. So what's the Groomer cartridge all about? Well, actually this was requested by one of our favourite users, Daniel Hibbett, lawn expert, and if you look on YouTube for Daniel, absolutely amazing advice. And if you want hints and tips on how to use this cartridge, Daniel's been using this probably for about 9 months now, and he's really got some great experience. We did a few different experiments and we came up with the correct spacing to go on to this Groomer cartridge. So the blade spacing, we are using a vertical cutting principle, high-speed blade, not unlike a saw blade, and we are sawing into the sward. But the blades on this are 21mm spacing, and that 21mm spacing means that we get much more intensive disruption of the sward. So this cartridge is only for use when the grass is growing strong. And we're cutting in at this 21mm spacing, which does have limitations on how deep we can go. So this is for shallower, more intensive cultivations, and our target is to remove brown dyeing material which is in the surface. We will be cutting the stolons on the surface as well to create new growing tips and to increase the leaf density of the sward itself. And with that disruption, we'll be letting water get through as well and get down through the thatch and into the soil. So this is about an intensity of combing. The intensive combing is also going to help line up the plants, which will help us with our intensity of our striping, but also it will give us this vertical growth as well and allow the leaves of the plant to breathe. One of the trends that we've really seen is for annual meadow grass control in lawn swards, and I think it's proven now that use of regular verticutting has definitely helped in control of annual meadow grass by combing the grass plants up and allowing us to mow and harvest the seeds of the grass plant, as well as taking leaves away that would otherwise have ducked underneath the blade. So the request was made to get much closer blade spacing in order to give us more intensity and to comb up more of the leaves better, ready for mowing, but also for the customers that are mowing particularly low. If you're mowing at bowling green or golf green type heights, then you need more intensity of the blades and you're not going very deep into the sward. So what is the difference between this and the verticut? Well, first, there are more blades on the Groomer cartridge, which of course makes it more expensive. It will take more power for the same depth because there are more blades. The intensity of the combing is much better on the Groomer blade, but the verticut is designed to be going deeper. So we're normally recommending that the verticut is going down at 0, going into the thatch, more disruptive, and the Groomer is less disruptive. That means you can't see as much where this has been, so you can use it more regularly during the growing season without spoiling the effect of your lawn, whereas the verticut at deeper depths will leave a small scar. It depends on how deep you go. So all round, we're using spring steel blades on these, which make them much more long lasting and much less likely to bend if you do actually catch on something, although that's less likely at the shallow depths that we're grooming at. So how often are we going to be using the Groomer cartridge? You can actually use this really regularly because we're not going down so deep, and the benefits of a little and often are really high. So how often? every other mow. Certainly you could be using this. Keep an eye on the plant density. If you're finding that you're getting a thinner sward as a result of the removal, or thinner than you want, then either reduce the depth or reduce the frequency at which you're using this cartridge. So it's very much down to you. This is definitely the cartridge for the more skilled, because you're going to have to make those types of judgments. The second question is, how deep shall I use the grooming cartridge? And again, I don't really have a definitive answer for you. Start high in the sward, work your way down until you start pulling material out. But this isn't about aggression, this is about combing, this is about getting the grass plants to stand more upright. So sorry not to be able to give you that, but you're definitely using it more shallow than you would be if you were using the wider spacing of the verticut cartridge. So we've got the cartridge into the Stirling. Let's take a look at what this will do. That is lovely. So I'm really loving the results that I'm getting here. You'll notice that although there's a good amount of brown material in here, I'm also removing leaves because I'm not going into the depth to be fetching thatch out. It's just the leaves, the dead leaves, the yellow leaves that are going to become thatch that I'm now capturing. You can see the lines and how intense those are. You know, at height of cut that I'm at now, I wouldn't really want to be going any narrower with the blade spacing here. It's really intense cultivation. What I also like is when I'm hitting Yorkshire fog, which is a grassweed, yellower, grows in patches, that what I'm able to do is to be really intensive with that. And that grass hates traffic, they say, but it hates disruption. So it really puts the grasses you want in such a greater, more competitive situation, especially when you're cutting the leaves of those flat-lying grasses so intensively. Annual meadowgrass, again, by combing those upright, it gives me the opportunity to cut the seed heads off and break the cycle, the repeated cycle of reseeding and getting this annual regrowth of that annual plant, which looks so ugly in my perfect sward. So this area of the Allett lawn is just annual meadowgrass heaven. It's just thick with annual meadowgrass, and I am dying to use this cartridge more regularly on this area here, because the results are, when you see what's left on the ground and not in the grass box, I'm getting lots of the white stalks that you get from the annual meadowgrass. The annual meadowgrass is being highly disrupted. And when I look in the grass box here, then I've got loads of seed heads still attached to the stalk, so I know that they haven't been distributed by my grooming activity. So I'm really looking forward to that. I don't think this spacing could be any closer on these blades used in a lawn that's mown like this one at 20 millimeters, 3/4 of an inch. It would just become too intense. And still, most of the material is the white stalks of the annual meadowgrass and leaves, and just a little bit of brown material which is growing in the surface of the lawn rather than pulling thatch out. So I'm really pleased with these results. So to recap on the new Groomer cartridge for the Stirling mower, remember, water and nutrients are really important. We are really challenging the plant when we're cultivating it this intensely, so it's really important that it's not dry and that you have either irrigation or rain is due very, very soon, and make sure the nutrients are there to feed the plant so that it can recover quickly. Keep the cultivation shallow with this, and you are more likely to thin the sward out if you use it too regularly or too deep. So really keep an eye open on how your sward is performing so that it's actually creating a benefit to the sward and not thinning it out. As you go into the autumn fall season, then the plant growth starts to slow down. You'll need to either reduce the depth or reduce the frequency of use of the Groomer cartridge. Speed, I'm using this at slow speed. It is an intense treatment of the lawn, and one thing to be careful, if you set the cartridge too deep, it will physically pull you along, and it will pull you along faster than the speed of the mower. So make sure that you're actually holding the mower back. And when I've been using it, actually I've been using zero drive on the rear roller and just holding the mower back, and I can actually feel when the cartridge is starting to engage more, so I can hold it back more to cultivate more intensively in the areas that it really needs to be. Finally, I've removed the front rake on this as well, so that it's not creating resistance, and that the Groomer cartridge can do exactly what it wants. This is not an annual meadowgrass harvesting machine, but this is the closest I've ever seen to being able to call a cartridge that. Thanks so much for watching us today with this new and exciting development, and we look forward to seeing you soon.